Imagine your prehistoric brain blissfully vibing in the grasslands, trying to avoid predators and maybe find a snack. It was built for fight or flight decisions, not philosophical spirals or wondering whether your barista hates you. Fast forward to now, and that same brain is trying to navigate social media, passive-aggressive emails, and the feeling that you're somehow both too much and not enough. That feeling, that's the emotion we are comically under-equipped to deal with. It's not rage, it's not fear. It's a trickier, sneakier monster, one that confuses your brain, short-circuits your body, and lingers like emotional glitter. Let's get right into it. Number 10. Guilt is a broken alarm. You forget to text someone back. Cue the guilt. You cancel plans for your own sanity. Guilt. You say no to something that made your stomach twist into origami. Guilt again. It's like your internal alarm system goes off every time you prioritize yourself, even when you know it was the right move. Guilt was originally designed to help humans stay bonded. You feel bad when you mess up, so you'll apologize, make amends, and not get kicked out of the tribe. Because back then, being excluded meant getting eaten by something with a lot of teeth. But now, that same guilt response gets triggered by digital silence, boundary setting, or eating the last slice of pizza. Your brain can't distinguish between I committed a moral offense and I said no to a baby shower. And to make it worse, guilt doesn't usually motivate change. It just marinates in your chest like emotional soggy bread. It doesn't say fix it. It says you suck on loop. Basically, guilt is like a fire alarm that goes off every time you boil water. Loud, constant, and completely unhelpful. Number 9. Shame hijacks your identity. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am something bad. See the difference? One is about an action, the other is about your entire existence. Shame is the emotional equivalent of trying to disappear into the floorboards. It kicks in when you feel unworthy, exposed, or like your whole personality is a problem someone else has to deal with. And your brain? It's absolutely terrible at handling shame, because while our ancestors needed social cohesion, they weren't navigating follow accounts, cancel culture, or daily exposure to people living impossibly curated lives. Shame thrives in comparison, it feeds on silence, and it hates being spoken out loud. Worse, shame doesn't just sting, it warps your self-image. It makes you believe that if you were better, stronger, less weird, then you wouldn't feel this way. It gaslights you into self-abandonment, and most modern coping strategies? Ignore it, numb it, or overachieve your way out of it. Spoiler, none of those work. Shame just gets sneakier. So yeah, we weren't built to carry shame. And yet here we are, dragging it around like a sad emotional backpack full of bricks. Number 8. Envy is a full-time job. Your coworker gets promoted. Someone you barely know buys a house. A TikTok teen goes viral for lip syncing while you eat cereal in the dark. Suddenly, your chest tightens. You feel inferior, unaccomplished, maybe even a little mad. And you don't know why. Say hello to envy, the mental parasite you never invited. Envy used to serve a purpose. Back in the day, it was a motivator. Oh, they have fire? I should get fire too. But now, in the age of curated perfection and infinite scrolling, envy doesn't push you to grow. It pushes you to self-implode. Because your brain is comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, and it's losing. Badly. Envy also comes with bonus shame because we're not supposed to feel it. You're supposed to be happy for people. You're supposed to be evolved. But instead, you're just muttering, must be nice under your breath while pretending not to care. Your brain wasn't built for this constant barrage of upward comparison. It was built to keep you alive, not to measure your worth against people with better lighting and sponsorship deals. Number 7. Loneliness isn't about being alone. You can be surrounded by people, loving, funny, supportive people, and still feel completely alone. That's because loneliness isn't about how many people you have. It's about how seen you feel. And here's the kicker. Your brain treats loneliness like a threat to survival because in the caveman days, being alone meant being vulnerable. Now it just means you're trapped in a group chat full of memes and no one asks how you actually are. Loneliness creates stress, messes with sleep, and even impacts your immune system. It's not just sad, it's toxic. And modern life? It's the perfect breeding ground. We're hyper-connected but emotionally malnourished. Always scrolling, rarely bonding, and your brain, in its desperate attempt to protect you, starts spinning. Nobody cares. You're too much. You're invisible. None of it's true, but your nervous system reacts as if it is. So yeah, loneliness isn't solved by more people. It's solved by more connection. which is harder, scarier, and way more rewarding than sending another LOL into the void. Number 6, anxiety thinks it's helping. You're trying to sleep, your body's ready, your room is cozy, but your brain suddenly starts whispering, what if you accidentally offended someone in 2014, followed by, have you considered all 87 ways you might die tomorrow? Welcome to anxiety, your brain's overprotective helicopter parent with no off switch. Anxiety evolved to help us survive actual danger, like, hey, there's a bear over there. Let's not die. But modern anxiety? It's repurposed that ancient fight or flight system to worry about emails, deadlines, and whether your laugh is annoying. Your brain thinks it's keeping you safe. That's the wild part. Anxiety is your brain rehearsing disaster in advance to soften the blow. Except it never feels like rehearsal. It feels like a never-ending doomsday slideshow projected directly into your frontal lobe. You weren't built for this level of chronic stress. You were built to freak out occasionally, then shake it off under a tree. Now, we just marinate in it, constantly, with coffee. Basically, anxiety is like a security alarm that goes off because a leaf moved. Useful in theory, exhausting in practice. Number 5, grief breaks the operating system. Grief isn't just sadness, it's not a feeling. It's a full-body system reboot where everything from time, logic, and even your own identity gets scrambled like psychological eggs. Grief shows up after loss, but not just the big, obvious ones. It can hit after losing a person, a pet, a job, a friendship, or even the idea of what could have been. It's elastic, personal, and utterly disorienting. The human brain was not designed to comprehend permanent absence. It's why you instinctively reach for your phone to text someone you know is gone. It's why you keep looking for closure in places that don't exist. Your brain's prediction software gets glitched. The person should still be here. The routine should still make sense. But it doesn't. And your mind keeps rebooting, hoping reality will change. Grief also doesn't follow stages. That's a myth. It's more like someone turned your emotions into a blender and hit chaos. Anger, denial, numbness, laughter, weeping over peanut butter, it all counts. Grief isn't something to get over, it's something you adapt to, like a weird emotional limp that shows up uninvited and stays as long as it wants. Number 4, regret is a time traveler's curse. Regret is that emotion that slinks in around 2 a.m. with a slideshow of everything you've ever done wrong, narrated by your inner critic and scored like a sad indie film. It's not just remembering a mistake, it's reliving it, with fresh emotional agony and a sprinkle of what if. It's like your brain invented time travel for the sole purpose of torturing you about that thing you said in 8th grade. Psychologically, regret is supposed to teach us things. Don't do that again, it says. But instead of being a useful tutor, it often becomes a dramatic ex who won't stop texting you reminders of your worst moments. What's extra brutal? Regret often isn't logical. You regret things you couldn't have known. Decisions that made sense at the time. Your hindsight bias kicks in and makes you feel like you should have been smarter, kinder, faster, basically psychic. You weren't. You were human, and regret doesn't get to rewrite that. So yeah, humans weren't designed to repeatedly relive their own failings on a mental loop, but we do, because your brain is nothing if not a dramatic overachiever. Number 3, ambiguity makes you combust. Your friend says, "Can we talk later?" Your brain immediately spirals into, "They're mad, I've ruined everything, this is how the world ends." That's ambiguity intolerance, baby, and it's the emotional equivalent of trying to sit still while someone waves a ticking mystery box in front of your face. Humans hate uncertainty. We'd rather have bad news now than the unknown hanging in the air like a damp psychological fog, because back in the old days, not knowing could get you eaten, poisoned, or abandoned. Your brain still treats it that way. Modern ambiguity is everywhere. Did the job interview go well? Is this relationship working? Are they mad at me or just typing slow? When you don't have answers, your brain fills the gap with fear. It imagines worst-case scenarios faster than ChatGPT on caffeine. And the more anxious you are, the more your brain confuses lack of information with danger. Ambiguity makes your nervous system act like it's in a hostage situation, except no one's holding you, and no one's even sure there's a threat. Basically, your brain would rather be wrong with certainty than sit in the void of maybe. Number 2, helplessness turns you into a puddle. Ever found yourself staring at a problem, knowing it's unsolvable, and still feeling responsible for fixing it? That's learned helplessness, the psychological equivalent of a wet sock for your soul. originally discovered in dogs, yes, dogs, learned helplessness happens when you try to change something over and over and fail. Eventually, your brain says, well, nothing works anyway, and just stops trying, even if the situation changes, even if escape becomes possible. Your internal belief is stuck on nope. Now replace shocking dog crate with toxic job, dysfunctional relationship, or the crushing weight of climate doom, and welcome to human-level despair. Helplessness isn't sadness, it's shutdown. It's that numb, blank stare you give to your overflowing inbox or your life savings turning into dust while you eat cereal straight from the box. We weren't built to face huge, systemic, multi-layered problems we can't individually fix, but we are facing them, and our brains are short-circuiting like a toaster in a thunderstorm. If you've ever felt stuck, frozen, or like nothing you do matters, that's not laziness, that's helplessness wearing depression as a hoodie. Number 1. Existential dread was not in the manual. You're lying in bed, it's 2 a.m. You stare at the ceiling and ask yourself the questions. Why am I here? What does it all mean? Did I leave the oven on? Welcome to existential dread, the final boss of emotions your prehistoric brain was never meant to face. Existential dread is what happens when your brain, powered by instincts and survival patterns, tries to process abstract concepts like mortality, purpose, and the infinite nature of space. It's like asking your toaster to do taxes. Not its job, not its skill set. You were built to worry about food, shelter, and maybe wolves. But now you've got the luxury of survival and the curse of overthinking. Congratulations, you unlocked consciousness, and with it, a front row seat to the cosmic void. Dread doesn't scream, it looms. It's that low-level buzzing in your chest when you realize everything might be meaningless. And then you still have to answer emails. Your brain flails in response, grabbing at philosophy, religion, productivity, romance, distractions, anything to make the void feel smaller. But here's the twist. Existential dread isn't a bug. It's a feature of being human, proof that you're aware, thinking, evolving. Uncomfortable? Absolutely. But it's also the birthplace of every poem, invention, midnight epiphany, and weird video like this one. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.